Okay, imagine this for a second. Just picture it. The year is 2025. You walk outside, and, well, it's the future, basically. Sleek electric cars humming by, drones buzzing overhead, satellites doing their thing way up high, all the tech you expect, it's just normal. And then, boom, right there, in the middle of all the modern chaos, there he is, Plato. Yeah, that Plato. Pulled straight out of, 4th century BCE Athens, and someone's given him this, slightly awkward hoodie. He looks, let's just say, utterly bewildered. Probably terrified by the coffee machine, never mind the airplanes leaving trails in the sky. Just dropped right into our time.
Wow, talk about dramatic entrance, right? Mine from, 2,500 years ago. Someone used to get the Agora, arguing philosophy under olive trees, suddenly plunged into, the sheer speed and complexity of our digital age, the whiplash he'd feel. Immense, culturally, technologically, wow.
Absolutely immense. So, okay, after this whirlwind tour of our time, probably pretty terrifying for him, Stanford University steps in. Stanford, always looking for the next big intellectual thing. They do what they do best. They invite him for a guest lecture. And the topic they suggest, it's perfect. It bridges those millennia, cuts right to the heart of things today. The search for truth, wait for it, in the age of the algorithm.
What strikes me there is just how relevant that topic still is, despite where Plato's coming from. It really speaks to how fundamental philosophical questions are. The tools change, dramatically, right? The whole context transforms. But these basic human questions about reality, about knowing things, about how to live ethically, they just seem to stick around.
And that, right there, that's our mission for this deep dive. We're using this amazing thought experiment, Plato, giving this lecture to dig into his words and what they mean for you, listening right now in 2025 or whenever. Think of this as maybe a shortcut, a way to see how ancient philosophy, especially Plato's, still deeply shapes our most modern problems. We're going to unpack this incredible meeting across 2.5 millennia of thought and, tech.
Yeah, it's not just about dusting off old history books.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's about seeing that even as technology just sprints ahead, our basic human nature, and the challenges we face trying to understand our world, they stay remarkably consistent. Plato, I suspect, would zero in pretty fast on the underlying issues driving our digital age. Just like he did with the issues back then, he'd see the threads connecting it all.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. The lecture itself. Imagine this packed auditorium at Stanford. You can almost feel that buzz, that anticipation in the air, right? Students everywhere, of course. A sea of glowing laptops, coffee cups steaming next to them, professors, maybe in tweed, even in California, down on the front rows. And yeah, you can bet there are a few tech executives who've kind of snuck in, probably hoping for some pithy quotes they can slap onto LinkedIn later.
It's such a perfect setting for this kind of intellectual clash, isn't it? You've got the super modern environment, the cutting edge tech, literally everywhere, on laps, in pockets, all waiting for wisdom from a guy who, used to write on wax tablets or scrolls. That contrast really throws it into sharp relief. How much has changed, but also how little that human hunger for meaning actually has.
And then Plato walks up to the podium. No slides, no laser pointer. Maybe he even refused a microphone. Just his voice, his presence, his words, just like it always was, right? He clears his throat, pauses for a beat, and the whole room, usually buzzing with digital noise, just falls completely silent, like reverent. He starts, maybe not surprisingly, with something really familiar if you've read him. He reminds them about his famous allegory of the cave. He says something like, 2,000 years ago, I told a story. Men in a cave, backs to the light, watching shadows dance on a wall, believing, he stresses, that those fleeting images were all of reality.
The cave allegory. Its power is it's timeless. It really is. It's more than just a story, isn't it? It's like a foundational metaphor for how we see reality, how easily we get trapped by our own perceptions, and how hard it is to break free to actually see. That whole appearance versus reality thing, it just never gets old.
And here is where he makes the jump, the big leap. He slams that ancient story right into our modern world. He looks out at the audience and says, today, you too have built caves, caves of your own making. Screens, he says, filled with endless images, echoing voices, opinions clashing, a relentless flood of shadows moving faster than thought itself, and maybe adds, often designed just to grab your attention.
That's such a direct connection, a really profound one, actually. He's instantly seeing the parallel, isn't he, between that ancient idea of mediated reality, the shadows from the firelight, and our digital experience today, those glowing screens, those curated feeds, the algorithms humming away behind it all. They're basically our new cave walls. They shape how we see the world, often without us even realizing how much.
And then he just cuts right through it all. right to the heart of our modern problem. With stunning clarity, he says, you tell me these shadows come from. Algorithms, you call them. To thoroughly. That they decide what you see, what you want, maybe even what you believe. And then he pauses, looks around like he's asking each person there. And I ask you, who writes these algorithms? Who chooses the puppeteers behind your cave?
Wow. That question just lands, doesn't it? Because it forces us to think about the agency, the who, behind the info we consume. When he talks about algorithms, he's sort of intuitively grasping the core idea, right? These complex rules, deciding what we see online, on social media, search engines, streaming. It's not random. They're designed for specific goals, often, maximizing engagement, keeping us scrolling, which can mean feeding us more of what we like or what grabs us, even if it's not balanced. This feedback loop, it creates and reinforces our own little caves, narrowing what we see. So yeah, if algorithms are curating reality, shaping desires, beliefs, then knowing the intent, the values, the biases of the creators, that becomes absolutely critical. It shifts the focus from what we see to who is deciding what we see and why.
Right. He's basically saying we thought tech meant ultimate freedom, but maybe we just outsourced reality curation, outsourced it to these hidden forces. That's a pretty heavy accusation. But hang on, is it really outsourcing? Or is it more like collaboration, maybe an unwitting one, where we kind of play along every time we click or like or share, helping build these digital caves?
That's a really key distinction, and I think Plato would argue that the unwitting part is exactly the issue. We might agree to these algorithms in ways we don't fully grasp, trading convenience for being influenced. So yeah, you're right. It's not totally passive outsourcing. We do have agency. We can still engage critically or step back, but it takes effort, right? Real conscious effort and awareness, which the systems themselves sometimes seem designed to, bypass. So he then challenges them, right, to turn away from these endless shadows. Yeah. What does turning away even mean for us when these shadows are literally everywhere?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's probably not about just unplugging completely. I mean, maybe for some, but no. I think Plato would push for a more conscious shift in attention, being mindful about how we consume digital stuff, actively looking for different sources, questioning the narratives, prioritizing deep thinking over scrolling. It's like an intellectual discipline, an ethical one too. And he brings it back to those core questions. What is real? What is good? And then he hits them with that really powerful warning about power and wisdom. For knowledge without virtue, he says, is only power, and power without wisdom becomes tyranny, whether ruled by kings or by machines.
Oh, that line. That's just pure Plato, and wow, does it resonate today. It's almost chilling. He truly believed knowledge wasn't just about facts or skills. It was fundamentally about understanding the good, the just, the beautiful. Without that moral compass, that virtue, knowledge isn't just misguided, it can be well weaponized. And in our time, with incredibly powerful AI, huge data sets, algorithms influencing billions, that warning about unchecked power, whether human or machine, feels incredibly relevant, prescient even. It makes us think, really think, about the ethics we have to build into our tech. We can't just let efficiency or profit run the show, because a system that can learn incredibly fast, optimized only for, say, engagement or profit, can easily become a kind of tyrant over our attention, our beliefs, our values. Easily.
He really makes you pause and consider the why behind the tools we build. Are we just building stronger tools to get whatever we want? Or tools to help us achieve better things? So where does that leave us for the future? Plato doesn't just warn us. He offers a solution. It's sort of a command, but also an invitation. He says, if you wish to be free, you must teach your algorithms to seek the good, not merely the profitable.
That is a direct challenge. And frankly, it's pretty revolutionary compared to how tech is often developed now. Today, like we said, algorithms are usually optimized for, efficiency, engagement, profit. Plato's saying tech, especially AI and algorithms, needs an explicit ethical core, a reorientation of purpose. But the huge question, as you kind of hinted, is how? How on earth do you teach an algorithm the good when good is so, subjective, culturally varied, debated constantly even by us? Are we talking about coding specific rules, embedding values, or completely rethinking what success even means for these systems?
Exactly. That's the core puzzle. It goes way beyond just technical performance. It means shifting from optimizing clicks or watch time to optimizing for what? Human well-being, social harmony, verifiable truth, maybe even empathy. Imagine an algorithm designed not just for ad clicks, but to promote, say, healthy debate or show diverse viewpoints, even if it lowers short-term engagement. That's a massive shift, a paradigm shift, really, in everything from data collection to design principles to the basic purpose of our digital tools. It's a huge call for value alignment, codifying not just what's possible, but what's actually good for us.
Precisely. And this isn't just like philosophy in the clouds. We are seeing early steps in this direction.
Yeah.
Discussions about value-aligned AI, human-centered design. It's starting. But it really demands that engineers and ethicists work together closely, thinking not just about the output, but the wider impact
Right.
on people, on democracy. It's about trying to build systems that reflect our best aspirations, not just our base impulses.
And then he finishes that thought, maybe a bit provocatively, with this twist. It puts the ball back in our court, he says. Or perhaps you must teach yourselves.
Ah, yes, that last bit. It's absolutely crucial. It puts the ultimate responsibility right back onto us, the users, the citizens, the people navigating this whole digital world. Because even if the algorithms aren't perfect, even if they aren't seeking the good, we still have the capacity for critical thought. We can still try to tell truth from shadow. We can choose how we engage. It reminds us that our own minds, our ability to seek wisdom and virtue, that's still our most powerful tool. It's a massive call for individual responsibility, demanding we become active shapers of our reality, not just passive consumers of a feed. We can't just sit back and wait for the algorithms to get fixed. We also have to sharpen our own tools to deal with them.
You can just feel it, right? The end of the lecture, that hall. First, just this long, heavy, thoughtful silence. Could hear a pin drop, no phones glowing, nothing. Then slowly, the applause starts. A bit hesitant at first, maybe, but then it builds, rolls through the room like a wave. Real recognition, real appreciation. A standing ovation.
That initial silence, though, that says so much, doesn't it? It suggests the audience, so used to speed and constant input, was genuinely hit hard, deeply challenged by what he said. His ancient wisdom, delivered raw, no fancy tech. It actually cut through all the modern noise. A real moment of, well, intellectual connection.
It really was. And the questions afterwards, they showed just how relevant it all felt. Students, professors, they weren't asking about ancient Greece. They were asking about democracy now, with algorithms, about the ethics of AI, where it's all heading. He managed somehow to weave those old truths right into our newest anxieties, which is kind of what he always did, right?
Exactly. It just proves that the basic human search for understanding, for justice, for how to live right, it isn't tied to a specific time or technology. Plato's ideas, especially about virtue and questioning things, they give us a really solid way to think about these messy modern problems, urging us to look past just the tech fixes and think about the deeper philosophy, the societal stuff.
And then, perfectly capturing the modern moment, there's the aftermath. Some student, nailing it, tweets out something like, Plato just dropped the hottest TED Talk of 2025.
That's the perfect modern stamp of approval, isn't it? It just shows that ancient wisdom, if you present it clearly and show why it matters now, it can hit home. Even in these super quick, sometimes shallow ways we communicate today, it bridges that gap. Ancient Athens to, well, Twitter. Makes you wonder what kind of TikToks he'd make, seeing our world. Maybe philosophers react to viral trends.
Maybe. But it also shows, I think, that even in our quickest interactions, people are still hungry for real insight. The medium changes, sure, but that desire for wisdom, it sticks around. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's bring it back home. Back to you. Plato shows up from the ancient world, lands in 2025. What does he find? He finds the tools are wildly different, yeah? Stone tablets to iPads, oracles to algorithms, huge changes. But the fundamental human questions, exactly the same. The ways we see shadows might be more advanced now, but the challenge of finding truth in a world full of appearances, that's eternal.
That's the core takeaway, really. Our tech might be accelerating like crazy, but basic human nature, our timeless search for meaning, truth, purpose, that doesn't change nearly as fast. It's like holding up a mirror. The digital age doesn't make philosophy irrelevant. It makes it more crucial than ever.
He forces us to ask those big questions again, but with maybe more urgency now. What is real with deepfakes and curated feeds everywhere? What is just when algorithms can bake in bias, even amplify it? And crucially, what kind of world should we be building? Not just what world can tech build for us.
And so in this age of the algorithm, it really feels like Plato's work isn't finished. Not by a long shot. His questions push us to think beyond the shiny new tech itself, to think about the ethical, the philosophical foundations we're choosing for our future. It really encourages you, the listener, to think about your own part in seeking truth and virtue amid all these digital shadows, to question what you consume, and consider what you can actively do about these timeless challenges in your own life, to move beyond just scrolling towards active, informed, critical engagement.